My name is Maria, and what I am about to share with you will challenge the way you view life, death, and faith. Just a few months ago, I was living a normal life as a teenage girl in Los Angeles, completely unaware that everything was about to change. It was an ordinary day, the kind that feels like every other, when an unexpected event began that would alter the course of my life forever. It started with a sudden and intense pain in my chest, sharp and overwhelming, unlike anything I had ever felt before. Within moments, everything seemed to spiral out of control. I remember feeling the world around me begin to spin as my legs weakened, and before I knew it, I collapsed. My body hit the floor, and I clutched my chest desperately, struggling for air. The panic in my mind was growing, but my body had already begun to fail me. In the distance, I could hear the frantic voices of my family, calling my name in fear, and my mother's voice on the phone with 911, pleading for help. The sound of sirens soon filled the air, growing louder and louder as paramedics rushed to my side. Their voices and commands were urgent, but strangely, they felt distant. It was as if the world around me was fading, and I was slipping into something else, a place that felt distant, peaceful, and oddly serene. My body felt heavy and unresponsive as they gently lifted me onto a stretcher, the last thing I remember before everything went dark. Yet, my mind felt lighter, floating into a strange sense of calm. The paramedics worked frantically to revive me, but I could no longer feel the struggle of my body. My body no longer bound me. I later learned that my heart had stopped beating for several minutes. The hospital had gone completely dark during those critical moments, and the medical team had to work tirelessly to bring me back to life. But in those moments, when my body was fading, I experienced something extraordinary, something that would change my life forever. As my consciousness began to drift away from my physical form, I felt a sensation like no other, a feeling of weightlessness, as if my soul had been untethered from the constraints of the body. I could see my body below me, hovering above the scene, watching the chaos unfold with no fear, no pain, only an overwhelming sense of calm. The paramedics continued their efforts, but I felt no urgency, no panic, just a deep sense of peace and quiet. Then I felt something, a pull, a draw towards something warm and inviting. At first, I couldn't understand what it was, but it was undeniable. A bright, radiant, and warm light appeared to call my name. I felt no fear. Instead, I felt an inexplicable pull toward it, as though it were drawing me into its embrace. The moment I began to approach the light, an overwhelming sense of peace washed over me. It was as if all the pain, all the struggles I had faced in my life had melted away, leaving only love and serenity. This was not a place of judgment or fear. It was a place of peace, a sanctuary beyond comprehension. And it was there that I met him, Jesus. His presence was like nothing I could have ever imagined. It was all-encompassing, full of compassion and love that radiated toward me in waves. I felt his love, a love that was so pure and unconditional that it filled every part of me. There were no words that could describe the depth of the peace I felt in his presence. Jesus then shared with me a vision, a glimpse into the future of my world. He showed me a moment in 2025, a moment where a massive fire would engulf parts of Los Angeles. Instead of instilling fear in my heart, he conveyed a message of hope, guidance, and preparedness. It was as if he was showing me that no matter the chaos and destruction that may come, there would always be a way forward. His message was clear. There would be trials, but there is also the opportunity for hope, renewal, and resilience. The transition from this world to the realm where I now found myself was seamless. One moment, I was hovering above my hospital bed, watching the frantic efforts of the medical team to revive me. And the next, I was in a place unlike anything I had ever known. It was vast, an infinite space filled with pure light. There were no walls, no ceiling, no floor. It was simply light, warm, and familiar, surrounding me on all sides. It was as though I had returned to a place I had once known, though I couldn't remember exactly when or how. The sensation was both comforting and awe-inspiring. It was in this space that I first became aware of His presence. It wasn't just a presence, it was a being, radiant and filled with love. My soul instinctively recognized Him, even though I couldn't see His form at first. I didn't need to see Him with my eyes, because I could feel His presence, immense, powerful, yet gentle and loving. It was a love so strong, so pure, that it transcended any earthly understanding. And as I stood there, enveloped in this light, I knew deep in my heart that I was not alone. There was a greater purpose for me, and I was about to understand something much bigger than myself. This experience, this journey into the spiritual realm, was just the beginning of a profound transformation. The peace, the love, and the message I received that day would stay with me forever. I didn't know it at the time, but the vision of Los Angeles in 2025, the warning wrapped in hope, would change my perspective on life and faith. I had experienced something beyond words, beyond explanation, and in that moment, I understood that no matter what came next, I was not alone. The presence I felt was the kind of love that completely engulfed me, erasing all fear and uncertainty. Soon, a light appeared, slowly taking shape. Before me stood an angelic figure, unlike anything I had ever encountered. I could feel that it glowed with an ethereal brilliance, and its eyes held a depth that spoke of ancient wisdom and boundless compassion. Yet, this figure did not speak with words. Instead, it spoke directly to my heart. It assured me of my safety and guided me to a meeting of great significance. I wasn't entirely sure what that meant, but something deep within me trusted it without hesitation. As I followed the figure, the light around us began to shift, becoming brighter and more intense with every step I took. It felt as though I was concentrating, as if the very light was forming a path that stretched into eternity. Each step I took made me feel lighter, freer, and more alive than I had ever felt in my entire life. Time seemed irrelevant in this place. It could have been mere seconds or centuries. It didn't matter. Everything felt timeless. Eventually, I arrived at what felt like the very center of this divine realm. The light was so bright that it was nearly impossible to see anything clearly. Yet, at the heart of it all stood a figure unlike any other. This being was more than just another entity of light. It was Jesus. His presence was so powerful and gentle that it immediately brought me to tears. Radiating an indescribable love and compassion, he touched the very core of my being. His appearance, though familiar, was also otherworldly. He wore a simple robe, and his face shone with a warmth that felt like the sun itself. His eyes were deep, filled with wisdom, and he radiated a warmth that made me feel completely at ease, though the weight of his presence was undeniable. At first, he said nothing, and the silence was filled with meaning. It was as though his very presence was communicating with me, filling me with a sense of purpose and understanding that transcended words. Slowly, he spoke, and his voice was unlike anything I'd ever heard. It was more than just a sound. It was a vibration that resonated through every part of me. "Maria," he called gently, "you are here on a mission, but before you can carry it out, you must see and understand what I am about to show you." At that moment, the space around us transformed. A veil lifted, revealing vivid scenes before me. I was no longer in the presence of just light. I was witnessing a vision of my hometown, Los Angeles. But this was not the Los Angeles I knew. Flames engulfed it. The fire was massive and relentless, consuming buildings and filling the sky with thick black smoke. The fire spread rapidly, and chaos reigned as people ran in all directions, desperately searching for safety. The devastation was overwhelming, but what struck me most was the sense of despair and fear that hung in the air. People were running in panic, lost in the vastness of the destruction around them. As tears streamed down my cheeks, I turned to Jesus and asked, "Why are you showing me this? What does it mean?" He gently placed his hand on mine and spoke, his voice calm and reassuring. "Maria, this is not to frighten you. It is both a warning and a call to action. This fire is a test. This fire serves as a test for humanity, testing our faith, compassion, and unity. Its purpose is to awaken people to the power of love and the importance of caring for others." His words filled me with a deep mixture of emotions. I felt sorrow for the suffering I had witnessed, but there was also hope within me because of the message he had delivered. He explained that while the fire may be a physical event, its true purpose was spiritual. It represented the trials that humanity must endure in order to grow, to evolve, and to learn the strength of love, unity, and compassion in the face of adversity. "Maria, I am showing you this because you have a role to play. You must share this vision with others, telling them not to be afraid, but to prepare. Let them know in both material ways and within their hearts and souls. Even in the darkest moments, there is light, and that light is me." He spoke with a profound sense of responsibility that overwhelmed me. This was not just a message for me, it was a message for the entire world. In that moment, I realized that my life would never be the same. As the vision faded, Jesus gazed at me with a profound love that brought me to tears. "You are not alone in this, Maria," he said gently. "I am always with you, and so are they, the angels who are guiding you. Remember, this is about faith, not fear, love." At that moment, I felt a surge of energy and peace unlike anything I had ever experienced. It was as if his words had ignited a fire within me, a fire of determination, hope, and unwavering faith. I knew deep within that this experience was not the end, but rather the beginning of something far greater. The angelic figure reappeared to guide me back, and as I turned to leave, Jesus gave me one final message. "Share this with courage and love. The world needs to hear it." And so, with these words, I began my journey back. What I had seen and heard that day would change the physical world forever. As I stood there, still in awe of Jesus, processing the overwhelming peace and love radiating from his presence, he gently gestured for me to look around again. The light had shifted, as had the serene atmosphere. What once felt peaceful transformed into something completely different, more vivid and detailed. Before my eyes, images began to appear, like a movie being projected onto the sky. I saw Los Angeles, my home city, but it was not the vibrant, bustling place I had always known. It was engulfed in chaos. Towering flames roared through the streets, consuming buildings, trees, and everything in their path. Thick, dark plumes of smoke rose high, blocking out the sun and casting an eerie orange glow over the city. Ash covered everything, and the air was heavy with the sound of sirens and distant cries, even though I was no longer in the physical world. The vision felt so real. I could see people running, their faces etched with fear. Desperate families clung together as they fled the flames, while others stood frozen in shock. Cars were abandoned on highways as drivers had no direction, and emergency responders worked tirelessly, though their efforts seemed overwhelmed by the sheer size of the fire. Tears streamed down my face as I watched the devastation. I couldn't comprehend why I was witnessing this. Why? Why are you showing me this? I asked Jesus, my voice trembling. Is this inevitable? Can't we stop it? Jesus looked at me with infinite compassion and gently placed his hand on my shoulder. His touch was warm and comforting as he spoke. Maria, he said, his voice resonating with both authority and kindness. What you are witnessing is not meant to instill fear, but to awaken your heart and the hearts of others. This fire is symbolic of the trials that humanity will face, a test of faith, love, and unity. His words were both soothing and profound, yet I couldn't help but feel a deep sorrow for what I had seen. Why Los Angeles? I asked, desperate for understanding. Los Angeles, he replied, is more than just a city. It represents creativity and innovation, but it also reflects the challenges of division, materialism, and humanity's neglect of the spirit. This fire is not inevitable. It is the result of humanity's decisions. But even in this trial, there is hope. It is an opportunity for people to come together and rediscover what truly matters. Together, we can rediscover what truly matters and return to love. As Jesus spoke with compassion, the images before me shifted amidst the chaos of the fire. I began to see glimpses of something extraordinary, neighbors helping each other, strangers offering shelter and food, and people uniting in ways that transcended race, religion, and social status. Kindness and courage shone like bright beacons in the darkness. Can you see it? Jesus asked with his eyes. Even in the darkest of times, there is light, and that light is love. I have instilled this love in every soul. This fire is more than just destruction. It is about renewal. It is a call to humanity to rise above fear and selfishness, to embrace the divine spark within themselves. His words filled me with a profound sense of hope and responsibility. I realized that this vision was not merely a warning. It was a message of possibility. Humanity has the ability to alter its course, to choose love over fear. Will they listen to our call to end division and build a world based on compassion and unity? I whispered. You have been chosen to share this message, Jesus replied, his gaze steady and determined. The purpose of this message is to motivate others to reflect on their own lives and prepare themselves not only for the future, but also for spiritual growth. Encourage them to strengthen their faith, to build communities of support, and to remember that they are never alone. I am with them. I felt a surge of energy within me as he spoke, as if it were not just my fire, but one of purpose and determination. I knew it would be difficult to share this vision. Some would dismiss it. Others might mock it. But I also knew that there were hearts ready to listen, ready to embrace Jesus' call to action. The fire, I now understood, was also symbolic. Jesus continued, "Fire represents personal transformation, just as it refines gold. These trials will sharpen the souls of those who face them, encouraging them to see challenges as opportunities to grow closer to me. They will let go of what no longer serves them and step into their true purpose." The scene shifted once more, and I saw images of people gathering together. I witnessed acts of prayer, hands held in unity, voices raised together. Generosity and compassion spread like ripples across the world, sparking a wave of love and hope that transcended the flames. "These are the moments I treasure," Jesus said, his voice filled with emotion. "My children are coming together, not out of fear, but out of love and faith. The fire you've seen can bring this about, but it doesn't have to take physical form if hearts are already transformed." As his words sank in, I felt a profound understanding. This was not a prophecy of doom, but a call to action, an opportunity for humanity to rise to its full potential. Jesus had shown me both the challenges and the opportunities. It was now up to us to choose which path to take. Before the vision faded, Jesus looked at me with such deep love that it brought tears to my eyes. Remember this: light always triumphs over darkness. Share the truth with courage and love, and know that I will always be with you. As the images dissolved, I found myself standing once again in the radiant light of his presence. The weight of what I had witnessed was heavy, but it was his love and reassurance that gave me the strength to carry on. I knew that this experience was not for me alone. His message was for the entire world, one of hope, preparation, and faith. The final words echoing in my heart gave me an unusual sense of peace and purpose. I felt ready to share everything I had ever known with the physical world, this extraordinary revelation. As the vivid images of the Los Angeles fire slowly faded, I found myself standing once more in the divine radiance of Jesus. My heart was filled with emotionally charged questions and an overwhelming desire to learn more. I turned to him, feeling both small in the face of his greatness and deeply connected to him. His compassionate gaze invited me to speak freely, and so I did. "Jesus, I don't understand," I began. "Why must this happen? Why must there be suffering, fear, and destruction before people turn to you?" His response came immediately, calm yet profound, his voice carrying the weight of eternal wisdom. "Maria," he said, "suffering is not my will. It is not something I create to punish or frighten. Rather, it is often the result of choices made when humanity separates itself from love. In reality, free will bestows upon humanity the power to either foster light or embrace darkness. This fire is a reflection of the latter. However, it can also act as a catalyst for generating light." I struggled to comprehend the profundity of his words. But why does it take something so devastating for people to change? Why can't they just choose love and unity over pain? Jesus moved closer, his presence enveloping me like a warm embrace. "Maria, the human heart often clings to comfort and familiarity, even when they lead to emptiness. Trials often awaken people to their true selves, to the truth of who they are, and the eternal bond they share with me. It is not the trial itself that transforms, but the decision made in response to it." I slowly nodded, starting to grasp the broader perspective. The fire wasn't just a warning, but also an opportunity for humanity to rise above its current state. Jesus' voice was filled with hope. Each challenge contains the seed of transformation, he continued. This fire is not an unavoidable event. It represents what could happen if hearts remain closed. But there are enough souls awakening to love, compassion, and divine purpose that the flames may not be necessary. The fire is but a symbol of what is possible. His words prompted another question in me. How can I, as one person, help? How can I awaken others by showing them what you've shown me? Jesus smiled with an expression of encouragement. Maria, you're not alone in this. You are just one voice among many. Your story will spread, moving hearts and inspiring change. Speak with courage, share with love, and know that I will guide you every step of the way. Remember, even a small spark can start a massive fire of light. The image of a spark stayed with me, giving me hope, but I couldn't ignore the fear still lingering in my heart. What if they don't listen? What if they mock or reject this message? He responded gently but firmly. Not everyone will listen, and that is okay. Your task is not to force them to believe, but to plant seeds. Some will germinate immediately, others may not. Trust the process and understand that even when you face resistance, your efforts are never in vain. You are spreading light in a world that desperately needs it. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the mission, yet comforted by his words. What can we do now, Jesus? How can they prepare spiritually for what is to come? He extended his hand, and I felt a wave of something wash over me. Tell them to look within, Maria. Tell them to strengthen their connection to me through prayer and reflection. Encourage them to overcome their fear and embrace faith and acts of love in whatever form they take. Even the smallest creatures leave a lasting impact on the world, serving as a constant reminder of their own existence. They are never alone. I am always present, ready to guide and support them. As he spoke, I felt a warmth in my chest, as if his words were filling me with power I had no idea I possessed. But Jesus, I inquired hesitantly, what about those who are already suffering? How can they find hope in the midst of their pain? His face softened even more, and his voice became gentler. Pain can be overwhelming, Maria, but it is not the end. When people are at their lowest, they often come to me for a deeper understanding of love and connection. It is in their brokenness that their hearts become more open to receiving my love. Remind them, we can see every tear they shed, hear every cry, and heal every wound. His words pierced my soul, and I felt overwhelmed with compassion. I realized that those who were struggling were not alone in their pain. They had overlooked the fact that their Creator was holding, guiding, and loving them. What about me, Jesus? I asked, my voice now steadier. How can I remain strong and faithful? What if I fail to complete this mission successfully? Jesus smiled radiantly, and his words were full of reassurance. You are human, Maria. You will have moments of doubt. But remember, faith is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to trust, even when you don't fully understand. You can rely on me when you feel weak. Allow my love to be your strength, and know that you will never walk this path alone. Tears welled up in my eyes as I realized the depth of his love for me. It wasn't just for me, though. It was for everyone. I understood then that my role was not about being perfect or fearless. It was about being willing to share his message and serve as a vessel for his light, about trusting him, even in the face of uncertainty. As our conversation came to an end, I felt a sense of clarity and purpose that I had never experienced before. Jesus gazed at me with a profound love that left me speechless. "Maria, I have addressed your questions," he said, his voice full of tenderness. "The answers I gave you are for everyone, because many people have asked similar questions. Move forward with bravery, confident in the unending love you receive." With those words, I felt a surge of power and determination. I understood that I had received a remarkable vision, a message, and a mission. Though the road ahead might be challenging, I was ready to walk it, guided by his light and love. I felt a sense of completeness as my conversation with Jesus came to an end, as if he had answered every question, doubt, and fear. His loving response had given me courage, and his presence had awakened something within me that I had never known existed. His light was warm, and I felt a gentle pull, as if the realm I was in were pulling me back. As I prepared to return, I looked at Jesus, my heart heavy with gratitude and sadness. "Do I have to return?" I asked, my voice trembling. "This place feels like home. There is so much peace and love here. I do not want to leave." Jesus smiled at me gently, his expression full of love. "You must return, Maria," he said softly. "But remember, you are never truly alone. I will always be with you." With understanding in his eyes, he said to Maria, "I understand your desire to stay, but your journey on earth is not yet complete. The world needs your light, your voice, and your courage. We chose you for this mission, and it is through you that we will reach others. Know that you are not leaving me or my love and truth, for I will always be with you. Even when your time here is over, you will always return to this place." His words comforted me, but the thought of leaving such a divine space was still bittersweet. I longed to hold on to this feeling of serenity, to remain in his presence forever. Yet deep down, I knew he was right. He had revealed my purpose, and I was unable to ignore it. As I prepared to return, the angelic figure who had guided me to Jesus reappeared. It stood beside him, radiating the same warmth and love. The angel extended a hand toward me and spoke in a voice as soothing as a melody. "It is time." I paused for a moment, looking at Jesus one last time. A question lingered in my heart, and I asked, "Will I remember every question I asked? Will I bring this peace and love back with me?" Jesus smiled gently and nodded. "You will remember what you need to fulfill your purpose. The peace and love you feel here are not limited to this realm. They exist within you. Allow them to guide you, and know that I am always nearby." With that, he placed his hand on my forehead, and a wave of warmth swept through my body. He imprinted his love on the very fabric of my soul. I closed my eyes, and the light around me became brighter, enveloping me completely. Suddenly, the warmth shifted, the ethereal light faded, and I felt a heaviness return to my body. The beeping of medical monitors and the muffled voices of physicians and nurses replaced the peaceful sounds of the spiritual realm. When I opened my eyes, I was back in the hospital. Artificial lights brightly lit the room, and my body felt weak and heavy, as if it had endured a great ordeal. I heard a gasp and turned to see my mother sitting beside me, her face streaked with tears of relief. "Maria, you're awake," she cried, clutching me tightly. The doctors rushed in, their faces a mixture of disbelief and astonishment. "She's back," one of them exclaimed, almost stunned. Her heart stopped for nearly 10 minutes. "This is a miracle." Despite their exhaustion, their faces showed hope, and a sense that they had witnessed something extraordinary. As I lay there, the memories of my experience returned. It felt strange to be back in the physical world after seeing and feeling all that I had in the spiritual realm. The hospital room, the machines, and the people around me felt oddly distant, as if I were still partially connected to the other world. But then I remembered Jesus' words. The peace and love you experience here are internal. Allow them to guide you. I took a deep breath, feeling his presence still near. A sense of calm washed over me. Over the next few days, I shared my experience with my mother. She was initially skeptical, unsure of how to process what I was telling her, but as I spoke, tears welled up in my eyes. Her eyes met mine, and she drew me close. "Maria," she whispered, "what are you saying? It's amazing. It's a miracle you're here. I believe you." The word began to spread, first among close friends, then to the larger community. Some people listened in awe, while others dismissed it as a hallucination or a trick of the mind. I understood that not everyone would be ready to hear or fully grasp the depth of what I had experienced. However, for those who did listen, my story became a source of hope. It seemed as though my experience had inspired others to reflect on their own spiritual journeys, sharing personal struggles, moments of doubt, and moments of faith. It was as if the mere act of speaking my truth had sparked a desire in others to seek their own connection with the divine. Despite the overwhelming response, there were times when I felt the full weight of my mission. The responsibility to share Jesus' message was daunting, and I often questioned whether I was strong enough to bear it. During those moments of doubt, I would close my eyes, take a deep breath, and recall the warmth of his hand on my shoulder. I would hear his voice in my mind, reassuring me, "You are not alone." One night, as I sat quietly reflecting, I felt an inner nudge, an unmistakable reminder of the vision I had seen. The Los Angeles fire, I now realized, was more than just a warning. It was a call to action. I understood that my role was not merely to recount my experience, but to encourage others to prepare their hearts. It was my responsibility to help them embrace love, unity, and faith, especially in times of adversity. I began speaking at community gatherings, not just sharing the details of my near-death experience, but also the profound lessons Jesus had taught me. I urged people to come together, to support one another, and to find strength in their faith. Over time, I began to witness subtle but meaningful changes taking root in the community. Once consumed by fear or division, people began to act with kindness toward their neighbors. Generosity increased, and hope began to spread. It wasn't a dramatic transformation, but it served as a powerful reminder that even the smallest spark can ignite a flame of love and unity. Looking back, I now realize that my return to life wasn't the end of my journey, but the beginning of something much greater. It was an opportunity to live purposefully, share Jesus' light, and inspire others. Whatever challenges lie ahead, I know I will never walk alone. His love will always be with me, and that is enough. Returning to life after my near-death experience was both a blessing and a challenge. The vision Jesus shared with me of a fire in Los Angeles was not just a warning of potential destruction, but a powerful call to action. His message was clear. Even in the face of adversity, there is always hope. Sharing this story was never about predicting the future. It was about encouraging others to prepare their hearts and to embrace compassion, and connection. Every act of kindness, every moment of faith, and every decision to choose love over fear creates ripples that change the world. I hold on to the peace and love I felt in His presence, knowing that His light shines not just within me, but within everyone. It is through this light that we can meet any challenge with courage and hope. I invite you to reflect on this message, seek love in your own life, and be a beacon of hope for others. Remember that we are never truly alone. His love is always with us.